Hey everybody, welcome to the Green Room. I am so excited because today we have Pastor Chrissy with us. Pastor Chrissy, how are we feeling?
Feeling good.
So yesterday we had Dr. Kevin Lehman with us,
Yes.
and I wanted to ask you, what was your biggest takeaway from the message on encouragement?
I think when I think about my life and what's meant the most to me, so the takeaway was encouragement is so important in
Mm.
your life. I think for me, as I was a young mom, and even when my kids got older, I think there was always doubt about how I was doing and, if I was a good mom. And I think the people that I surrounded myself with,
Yeah,
my community, that gave me that encouragement, and it wasn't just about a a trite word here or there. It was they put action
yeah,
to those words, and they came around me and helped me do life and helped me be a great mom. And
yeah.
so I think that's probably what resonated with me the most yesterday is the fact that I experienced that. That's good.
There's this funny moment where he's talking about this kid's at bat and how everyone's yelling, "You did a great
Loser.
job," and he's like, "No, you didn't, little loser. You didn't swing the bat." And as funny as that is, I think it is true that there is this. It feels like this need to tell everyone they're doing a great job all the time.
Yeah.
And so, with your kids, how did you balance uh, encouraging them and also not lying to them when they're not doing a great job?
Yeah. I think you can come approach it with love. Just, man, I love you. Even if they didn't do a good job,
Mm,
just to say, hey, I love you. There's next time. Um, I know you'll do better next time. Those types of things instead of just trying to pump them up.
yeah,
And so for me, I think I was always just really real with them.
yeah,
Um, 'Cause truth sometimes, as hard as it can be, is important. It's helpful. It helps you to grow.
yeah.
And so I know it was for my kids.
When would you say was a time where maybe they did something and it was a mistake or it was something that wouldn't be acceptable in your home and you had to hold them accountable for it? One of the questions that we got was, what is the age at which you begin to hold your kids accountable, maybe in a different way than you do when my daughter's 2. The way I hold her accountable is different than the way you're going to hold your,
Sure.
16, 17-year-old accountable. So when did that shift for you? And what was one of those moments where you had to go, okay, I have to hold you a little bit accountable a little bit differently now than I used to?
Yeah. Age of accountability, I don't know if you're kind of hinting at that as well. I think it's so different for each kid.
Yeah.
And it depends on their pace, their, maturity level, all those different things. But I could tell when my kids knew right from wrong and knew when it was time that they, they had to pay the consequences. I
Yeah.
remember my son, I think he might have been in junior high,
Mm.
Trey, and he had taken a stink bomb on the
Oh
bus.
gosh.
And he knew better, and he set it off on the bus, and it was, getting the call
Yeah.
from, that he was gonna be suspended from the bus for a week or something like that, and, having the conversation with him when he got home, like, "Hey, you knew better,"
Yeah.
and trying not to laugh as I was giving him the consequences, but it's those times in life where if you don't allow your kids to feel the pain
Yeah.
of making a mistake, then you're really doing them an injustice because they can't grow from what they don't feel.
Yeah.
And so I think with all my kids, might have been a little bit different, but an age of accountability is when they really understand what it is to serve God, that He exists, that they can accept or reject Him, that they have a understanding of what it is to follow Him and to make good choices, right decisions. And so I think that's different for every kid in their
Yeah.
comprehension. So I don't know, seven, 8, 9. I mean, it could be different,
Yeah.
but I could tell in the conversations I had with my kids when they were really like at that place where they knew,
Yeah.
they could decide for themselves to follow God.
And what was that? The Bible says, train up a child in the way they should go. And
Hmm.
so for you, I know you were a single mom
I
for a
was.
while. And and what was that process like for you in terms of training them up in the way they should go?
Hmm.
Because I feel like a lot of times, um, even now as a new parent, it can feel like, okay, how do I do this? Because there's sometimes where I'm like, you're annoying me, and there's other times where I I love her and like just want to make sure like
Yeah.
she gets everything she wants in life. And then there's this balance of training her in the way that she should go and figuring things out on her own.
Yeah.
And so what was that process like for you with your kids?
I think you always do it imperfectly.
Hmm.
And you do it to the best of your ability. You lean into God. He gives you a grace because he's equipped you for the
Yeah.
kids that he gives you. But I think for me, the powerful thing, especially about being a single mom, is that I relied heavily on the community around me. I had close friends. I pulled people close to me, and the gaps that I felt like I didn't have the ability to, fill
Yeah.
in their lives of even having a missing dad. I pulled people close to us that could fill those gaps, that could speak in. I leaned into people that had more wisdom, that were further down the road than I was, and that gave me great balance and gave me great perspective. And I didn't do it all perfect,
Yeah.
but with God's grace, I have amazing kids, and they've all grown up. I have 2 that are adults now and
Yeah.
out of the house, and 1 left to go.
You're almost there.
I'm almost there. Light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
But no, it's been good. God's been such a blessing.
Yeah.
To hold my hand along the way.
Yeah.
He's been good.
Yeah, maybe talk a little bit more. I think there might be people watching who are single moms, women watching, and the importance of the community piece. My mom was a single mom after I was 12. And so I saw the need that she had for people. Like, you can't do it by yourself.
Yeah.
And you're not meant to do it by yourself. And so maybe what encouragement would you have or advice would you have for letting people into your life to help you raising your kids and not trying to do everything by yourself?
Yeah. I think for me, it was having to put down my pride, take down my pride, and allow people in, and know that it's okay that I don't have everything together.
Yeah.
It's okay that I don't know it all. It's okay that that there's weaknesses.
Yeah.
And for me, it was just humility. I think I had to come to the place where it was okay for me to say, I really need help. I just need perspective. I just need you to watch my kids for a few minutes. I just need, let's go out and just be, a woman that gets to enjoy coffee and dinner out without having 3 kids attached to me. There was just so many things that I just relied on people to keep my head on straight, honestly. And community for me was that. It was the key.
Yeah.
Groups.
In the message yesterday, there was this really, to me, it was really interesting difference, and I had never really heard it talked about, of praise and encouragement and the difference between the two. And so as you look back on raising your kids, what were the moments where, I don't know, I was listening to Dr. Lehman, and I'll cut some of this out, but I was like, because I'm about to talk about my mother-in-law, but like I've noticed that she's like a super high praise person. And I wonder at what point does that do more damage than good in creating an achievement based, because that's one thing he was talking about. So I guess my question would be, in raising your kids, how did you encourage them and praise them in some ways, but not making it about, you're a good kid because you did this. It's not about who they are. It's about the things that they did.
Yeah.
And so how did you differentiate the two when you were trying to encourage them in the things they were doing well?
Yeah. I think it really resonated with me yesterday when he was talking about it, because the generation that I grew up in was very much attached to performance and getting good grades or doing this right. And, I think the rule follower in me always wanted to achieve, so that there was a connection to, I'm good, I'm okay. And I probably at times messed that up with my kids too, because I know I'm imperfect. But I do see, the older that I got, more of a shift happened to just really it being about, no matter what you achieve, I love you nonetheless. You're valuable. Who you are is more important than what you can do.
Yeah.
And I've seen that probably the most evident in my child rearing with my last baby at home. He's getting all the good parts of me.
Yeah.
The wisdom and the sage.
Yeah.
But I mean, it doesn't matter what he achieves, whether he has a good basketball game or a lousy basketball game. That doesn't determine his value.
And how can we, even peer to peer, how can we get better at encouraging each other?
Yeah, I think it goes back to what he talked about yesterday, and it has to be backed up with action. And
Mm.
so when I am in connection with people, even that I work with, some of my, downline, even I
Mm.
feel like that's really important for me to not only connect words of encouragement to them, but come alongside them
Yeah.
and to show them
Yeah.
how I feel about them, show them that I love them, show them that I believe in them. And it's not just about words or high five.
Yeah.
It's about just loving them.
Yeah. Yeah. So, is there a time in your life, or was there a time in your life when you needed encouragement and you got it, or maybe you needed it and it didn't show up when you needed it?
Well, I'm not going to go very far back in time. I would say that last week I needed encouragement
Mm.
and got on the phone with a friend and just had a tough day and probably just needed some containment. And the words that she shared with me were life
Mm.
and strength. And it helped me to get past what I had experienced and really find the gift actually in the
Yeah.
toughness of it and even grow a little bit out of it. And
Yeah.
so her words were life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going back to the raising your kids conversation with the encouragement piece, is he said you got to balance encouragement, vitamin E, with vitamin N, which is
No.
no. And
I had
so,
that one down.
did you? Okay, I was about to say, when was it hardest for you to say no as a mom?
You know, I don't know that it was really hard for me to say no. That's terrible, isn't it? I was pretty good at no.
Yeah.
But I don't know, my kids all had like a special place in my heart, so they knew if they kept trying,
Mm.
they might be able to get their way. But I always led with no. I don't know.
That's the advice. Start with no
Start with no
and work your way to yes.
and they will wear you down to a yes. No. I think no is really important though.
Yeah.
If you can't say no, then you're gonna raise spoiled kids. You're gonna raise entitled kids. You're gonna raise kids that have a false expectation of what life's gonna be like.
Yeah.
So you have to say no.
And on that, how would you say that you best set your kids up to not have to feel that when they stepped out into their own life, in terms of this false expectation of what life is going to be like?
I don't know that it was me that necessarily set them up. I know that the journey that we were on, even becoming a single, home parent family, probably taught them a lot about sacrifices and knowing that everything's not always perfect, but we're together and we have each other.
Yeah.
And I think some of those lessons probably prepared them more than even the things that I did and said. It was probably the journey along the way, but knowing that there were times that it wasn't good and there were times that it was amazing.
Yeah.
All those things together collaboratively have made them who they are, and they're amazing people now.
Yeah, cool kids.
They are pretty cool. I think so.